Ladies and gentlemen, it's Joseph Decker. Welcome to the Joe Show. I'm your host. Today's going to be a fun episode, man. We usually do these shows where we got 10, 15 guests. We kind of rapid fire, but today I wanted to chillax, do a little bit of a fun show, talk to two of the best coaches in the state, and Coach Josh Cook of GRC and Coach Kevin Klein of St. X. So just want to talk to them guys, pick their brains a little bit about the season, how they feel going into the postseason. We all know that's getting started. We had some district games yesterday. It's really getting started today and tomorrow, though. So the postseason is here. Really felt like this season went by quick, man. I know a lot of people would agree with me. It felt like just yesterday I was at that first Ashland Blazer versus Great Crossing game, and now we're already talking about the postseason. So it's went by really quick, but it's been a lot of fun. I'm really grateful for what this season has had in total for the players, what it's done for me, and it's just been a great year, man, so far. And it's not done though. Like I said, just now the postseason, so it's not done. Today is our last show of the last 5 weeks. We like to do 5 shows every 5 weeks, and during those 5 weeks we have our sponsors. Today is our last show with these group of sponsors. So I want to show them some love, show them appreciation. Of course, let's go ahead and go through them a little bit. B Spring Lumber, that is Wendy and Kelly Wood out of B Spring, Kentucky. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring the show. Charity Hall Bingo in Louisville, Kentucky. That's Troy Deaver. Thank you for the sponsor, man. He'll be joining us again these next 5 weeks. Salem Lockhart and the Lockhart family with Pelican Snowballs in the 4th region. Thank you guys for sponsoring Grass-Fed Beef, Barron Family Farms in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Thank you guys. That's Brad Barron, one of the longest supporters of the show. Grable Funeral Home, another one of the longtime supporters. Sports head Roy Grable sponsors the show. A truly great guy. Thank you for sponsoring the show, Roy. Adam Coates with CNA Plumbing, longtime friend of mine. Just a great all-around dude. He's been super busy with the weather, man. Lots of freezing snow. So I know it's not been easy for him recently, but always do your plumbing business and needs through CNA Plumbing. They're the best out there. Exact Homes, that's Scotty Hawkins in Grayson County, Kentucky. His first time on the sponsor group. Thank you, man, for the sponsor. Ronald Scott Lindsay, Edmonson County Judge Executive, our little behind-the-scenes sponsor guy. Thank you, man, for all the recent sponsors. He'll be joining back next 5 weeks, part of the group. And then Detman Law Injury Lawyer, that's our show sponsor. He'll actually be joining us. That's Brian Detman. He'll be joining us going over again next 5 weeks. He does all of our Player of the Week sponsors, our Teams of the Week, things of that nature. Brian is a great guy, man. Follow him on his social medias. He's super informal. Some of the stuff he talks about in the law world, it kind of fills me in, man. It's super, super, super cool to see. So thank you, Brian. And that's our sponsors for the show. Remember, if you'd like to be a part of the Joe Show, if you'd like to sponsor, help me allow to put your business out there in front of tens of thousands of fans, I'd love to do it, man. I really like doing it. The show's not possible without these sponsors. So thank you for everyone who sponsored the show. We've had a little bit of a delay. We've not had a show since probably about last Sunday. Yesterday, I took a little trip to Bloomington with my good buddy, David White. So a few of the show graphics at the top left will say February 23rd. That was yesterday. So apologies for that. Our first guest today will be Coach Josh Cook of GRC. GRC's had a really good season this year, man. 24-4. They're going into their district play. I know they play Paris in their first game. We'll talk to Coach Josh all about that. Let's go ahead and welcome him onto the show today, Coach Josh Cook of GRC. Coach Josh, what's up, man? How are you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be on tonight.
Of course, man, I make these lists of guys that I want to get on the show, and today I flipped the page of the notebook to the coaches, and you were that first name there, so I knew I wanted to kind of contact you, talk to you a little bit, but, I kind of like to get in here pretty quick. Let's talk about GRC, man. I feel like, in my opinion, you guys have had a really good season. I know coaches are a little harder sometimes. They're not always happy. Never satisfied. But you guys said at 24-4, 10-0 on the year on the region. Tell me about this season, man. How would you feel how the regular season went? And some things that you're happy with, some things that are big positives for you, and what's maybe some adversity moments that kind of help the guys a little bit you think was needed. Just give me a little rundown on the season, man. You can start and just kind of fill me in with this season.
Kind of start off. It was kind of a young overall team. Obviously, we had lost some of the remaining seniors that had been on some of those state championship, state runner-up teams, and we still had the senior group this year. We had 3 guys that had dressed on the state runner-up team, so they'd seen a lot. But besides that, it was a pretty young team. We had some success last season, had a good season, had a couple things unfortunate late in the year that we had to kind of get past. But, for us, obviously Malachi Asher coming back this season, being fully healthy as our point guard really kind of put us in the right direction early. And we started off playing pretty well. We got into Christmas time, and run into, playing at the Lexington Catholic tournament, you're going to play really good teams. And we had an opportunity there to, have some struggles, to experience our first loss, to actually lose 2 out of the 3. And then have to regather, refocus, figure out what we got to get better at. And we go into January and had an opportunity to do that. And we've lost some close games through the season. But and then we closed out, in February, we've been playing very well. And we played Great Crossing. I guess that would be 2 weeks ago. I guess I'm trying to get my math right here. And played them pretty well. So I think our basketball team has really grown. We're pretty deep, but we're still young overall. But you can see we've matured, and it's really that time of year where I feel like our guys are they're kind of locked in right now. I mean, you got to do your job. They don't want to really deal with. There's no mind games. There's no attitudes, nothing like that this time of year. It's basically, hey, do your job, be consistent at it, and sacrifice for the team to give us the best chance to advance.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the roster is a lot of fun. I know you mentioned it being a little younger, but it's like there's so many guys who can take over on any individual night. The scoring's really, what's the word I'm looking for here? Kind of spread out between multiple guys. A player that I'm a really big fan of is Montez Gay. I think a lot of people all around the state know his name. They're familiar with him. They love the way he plays. I feel like he's kind of one of those Swiss Army knives, man. He can guard the 1 through 5. He's just such a good player. He's all about winning. I've got to see him twice this season at the Lexington event you spoke of, and then I got to see him this summer. I've got to see him play AAU, and I'm just a really big fan of him. Coach, if you could kind of tell me about Montez and how is coaching him, because he's a special talent for sure, but I've seen him talk a lot on the floor, and he seems like just a great leader as well. How does it feel to have a guy like that as a sophomore impacting the team like he does?
Well, it shows the future's bright, and he was another guy. Late in his 8th grade year, we allowed him to come up, and it was really important just to get him. He dressed on the state runner-up team in 2023, just so he could see and learn from some really great players of what it takes and the leadership required and the sacrifice. And he's still young overall, but there's so many things we ask him to do. And like you said, what I'm really glad you paid attention to is, you claim a Swiss Army knife. He does so many things well, and can he get better at certain things? Yeah, I mean, as a coach, I'm always going to challenge him. Hey, I think you can always play better and better and better. But he does, about everything well, and just having a player like that that's young but also leading your team as a sophomore, it's a blessing for us. He's got such a good heart that he's almost too nice sometimes. I'm kind of wanting him to. Every now and then, hey man, go ahead and let loose a little bit. Coach is going to let you do what you need to do to lead your team. But he's growing into that. That takes some time. But I think he's got a really good mindset this time of year right now, and most part he wants to win.
Yeah. Kind of looking at your team right now, man, a very positive record. You got a good, like we kind of just mentioned, a good group of guys, kind of the scoring's a little spread out. Guys can take over. It's just a really good, fun all around basketball team. You've been around the GRC program now for almost about a decade, kind of closing in on that. You've had some great teams. We talk about the state runner-ups, the state championship teams. If you look at where your team is now, going into this postseason, some character traits they have. Does any of your previous teams, does this resemble any of them? Is there any similarities? Do you ever look at these guys and maybe see, a past face in these players? Is there any similarities there?
You can. So, but I made this comment today, and I really kind of caught myself. I was like, man, I've been in this business a while, and I was explaining, but it makes me feel old, and then I look at my gray hair, so maybe I am as old as I talk sometimes. But it's hard to compare because kids are so different. So there are comparisons, but I've kind of explained, and a couple of my leaders understand I'm probably coaching this group a little different, just to kind of help get them where they need to be for certain moments, because postseason will be about moments. There will be moments that happen that you just can't control them, and it's just part of basketball. And your players, coaches, you just put them in situations. Players win games, and I'm coaching them right now as a big vision, as a, hey, we're not overlooking anybody by no means. We're taking it, game by game. But my job as a coach is to get them to see a big vision and a big dream that, hey, maybe you can, believe that you can play in the state tournament, believe that you can get there. And that is kind of what I'm trying to emphasize to them. That is the one thing I've learned from a long time ago is you have to talk about it. You have to talk about what you're dreaming and your vision, and that helps kids understand and believe they'll get there.
For sure. For sure, Coach. I want to talk about this, man. I got into a little bit of conversations with some guys around me, and I will say the way the media is portrayed it, the way people's talk, the 10th region is really, I feel like only three teams has really been talked about a lot, and that's you guys at GRC. Campbell County has received some love. They won 20 games this season, and then Montgomery County, they'll always kind of be in the loop a little bit. Then adding Caden Reed, recently they look like a whole new ball team, but those three teams have really started to get attention and get the respect they deserve. But I feel like the 10th region is stronger than just three teams. While I've only seen about three or four of the teams, just kind of looking on paper, watching some film, what these guys have. Fill me in a little bit about the 10th region. I know you know it super well. Just tell me about some of these other teams that will be threats in the postseason and, why the 10th region kind of deserves more respect than I feel like it's getting right now.
Yeah, and what you see is it's like even going back to last year and seeing Harrison County make the run to the to the regional championship. There's programs with good tradition that's pretty basketball passionate, and it's probably easier sometimes to maybe kind of figure out maybe who's going to get out of their districts into the region, but you got to respect those teams that get there because they all play different styles, and so in some regions a lot of teams will play similar speeds and similar tempos. In our region, it changes night in, night out. So it's basically, hey, as a coach, can you adjust if you need to? And you start talking about Mason County with its tradition. One of the teams arguably has a good chance to get out of their district. And Augusta, who has good tradition, knows how to play with the kids and the style they have. They're always dangerous. And then you get into Northern Kentucky, and if you get out, obviously Campbell is the favorite to get out of that district. But then you start talking about Scott High, who has some tradition and knows how to play hard. And then you got Brossart, a school that knows how to control tempo. And then you get into the other district with Harrison's starting to play well. Nicholas has some good pieces, and they've played well. Pendleton has some good wins over those teams in the district. The 10th is interesting because there's just a lot of different styles, and that's what it's pretty well coached. So like for me, like I enjoy it because it makes me a better coach, because no matter how that draw goes, like you're not going to go in and say, hey, I'm going to play this one way the entire 3 games, because you're going to have to adjust pretty much on the fly because it's different tempo and styles. So I give a lot of credit to the 10th and other teams. There's some other good teams out there that the draw can make it interesting. We got to do a good job. We play Paris tomorrow night. They've got some talented kids. They're going to play hard. It's at Paris. They're going to play inspired. So, we focused on that today, and tomorrow we need to play well.
Yeah, of course, Coach. Kind of fill me in. Let's talk a little bit more about that game going into Paris. What's some things you're kind of looking for out of your team? How's practice been, man? You guys looking good going into it. Tell me about some of the strengths of Paris. Just kind of get us in the know about this big game coming up.
They got some nice pieces. Carter Cobb's a pretty good scorer. He's a senior. He's kind of jumped on the scene this year. Elijah Webb's a pretty good athlete for them. They're going to play pretty good, pretty fast-paced tempo. We need to go out, execute from the start, and be ready to play. But part of our goal right now is, look at that opponent, pick some keys, and you have to do those keys no matter who you're playing. But also for us, it's this time of year, you got to be great defensively. You got to be able to get stops and rebound the basketball. And then offensively, you got to be able to space and play some. We're going to have ideals and sets and things that we're going to run. But postseason basketball is about really getting defensive stops and rebound, and then giving your chance, put them in positions to make plays and trust your guys. And we've been working on it. Practice has been pretty good. Is that where I want it to be at all times? No. But I'm challenged them. And for the past 2 days, I haven't saw any heads go down for longer than maybe a second. So, and we have a really, really good group of kids. I wish they were a little tougher. So I've kind of challenged them at times, like, hey, step up and lead. You can do this. Like, don't be. But the past 2 days of practice have been really good. And if we can do that, I really like my basketball team.
Yeah, of course, Coach. I won't hold you too much longer. I know we talked a little bit, but there's one guy I really want to speak on that's really caught my eye. The freshman class in Kentucky is very, very good. I feel like we're having conversations about it every day, how good these guys can be. And obviously it's early. We've still not seen what these guys can become. Sometimes things can kind of fall off, go negative. But Connor Morgeson is a guy who I really got in contact this summer, and I like his game a lot. I think he's a really great kid. And the guy can shoot the ball better than – there's a lot of people in the state who wish they could shoot like Connor Morgeson, man. And he reminds me at times of Eli Craig, kind of the older guy above him. So, how does it feel to have a freshman, a younger guy like that, a part of your program, which, you can look in the future and say, well, 3-4 years down the line, this guy could be leading us, but you're also getting big minutes and great basketball out of him right now. How does it feel to have a guy like that?
It's great, and you're not going to find a kid that loves basketball more than Connor. I mean, he really loves it. I mean, this has been such a good experience for him to be around other players that love basketball that really play, and he's around a lot of good guards. So what's great for him is he gets challenged. You got to go against Malachi Ashford every day, or play with Malachi Ashford. Then you got Sam Spillman and Jamilan Johnson and Eli Craig, and these guards that he's learned to play with. He has to also defend. So it makes him so much better, and he has grew up so much, and that's hard for young kids because nowadays kids, they fall in love with the now. Yeah. And then the now is not as important as the future sometimes, and giving yourself a chance. But like, he's been phenomenal for us, and he's playing with ultimate confidence because he's one kid. If you give him a chance, he believes he's going to make that shot. So, but I'm just really proud of him because he's learned to be more coachable and learned to be like, hey, I'm playing with some really good guards as well, and allowing those guys to make your team better.
Well, Coach, I love the basketball team GRC has this year. I've got to see them 2-3 times, and man, I knew some of the guys off the court, so getting to talk to them, see where they're at. I know they're very positive right now. I know you're in a good headspace. District for you all starts tomorrow against Paris. Man, it's going to be fun, especially with this postseason. A lot of GRC fans tuning in. The great fan base. I didn't know how good they were until I kind of seen some of the reception shown on social media. But a lot of them's tuning in. Kind of leave something off for them. For those that might just be tuning in, tell them about the game tomorrow, and then I won't hold you too much longer, Coach.
No, guys, just we have our fan base community. They love basketball. Yeah. Our home games are pretty special, and you can see the way our school system and our community has done a great job of supporting their teams. We appreciate that, obviously. Without them, it just makes our kids feel special. We always want GRC basketball to be a unique experience, and we want it to be, arguably one of the best around, if not one of the best in the state. And having our guys having a chance to be a part of something bigger than themselves and play for a school and a community that wants to represent that. We're very thankful for that opportunity, but it's something we want to continue. I hope to continue that, not just this year, but many years down the road.
Yeah. Coach, I love the team, man. I love the energy you guys have around you. It's good talking to you, Coach Cook. I had to get you on here, man. I think I did it at the perfect time. I appreciate you for hopping on, man. I hope to talk to you soon.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Of course. See you soon, Coach Cook. That was Coach Josh Cook of George Rogers Clark, one of the top teams in the state this year, man. They've been commonly kind of ranked in that top 10, 12 range all year. They got a really fun team. They show some similarities to the former teams Coach Cook has had. You look at their side of the brackets and kind of where they match up, and we could see a GRC tournament run, maybe seeing them knocking on the door of the state championship this year again. We still got a lot of basketball left. We still got to figure that out. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Coach Cook, great guest. Thanks for hopping on, man. But our next guest, I described him to one of his assistants. His middle name has to be Energy, because Coach Kevin Klein of St. X, he's one of my personal favorite coaches in the state. The man is always so exciting to talk to. He's like he kind of describes it. He's a very energetic guy. Right when he joined, man, he greeted me with the biggest "What's up, hello" I've heard in a little bit. So I'm really glad to have our guest on here today, Coach Kevin Klein of St. X. We're going to talk about how good they've been this year, man, but we got to go ahead and get him on here. Coach Klein, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's up, my guy? It's been too long. It's awesome to be with you tonight.
What's up, man? Yeah, it's been a little bit, man. It's been since KOB. I know we kind of talked about that. I won't rush you into the season as quick as we did, man, but just kind of tell me how you've been, man. It's been a great season. How's the vibes around St. X? How you feeling, Coach, going into the postseason?
Oh, it's so good. I've been the head coach for 17 years. I was fortunate to be a high school player at St. X, graduated in 95. It's actually the last time our program made it to the state tournament. So I've been following the program since the 80s and just eat, sleep, and breathe it. I know so many of our alums. I've obviously coached a ton of players. And then the group that we have this year, it's just been a really cool experience for me and my family, as they are ingrained as much into this thing as I am. And these guys, it's basically the same team for 2 straight seasons, which is really hard to come by, and how it all just worked out and post-COVID and roster shakeup, and all these guys are pretty much 4-year guys at St. X, and we only had one senior last year, and we had a super successful season, won 30 games, and brought every starter back and pretty much every piece in our top 10 rotation outside of one, and then we added Josh Lindsay, a very talented freshman, and the season did not end in that regional semifinal as we would have liked, and we've used that as motivation to win the Collins NCAA Live tournament, and we've had a very successful season, as you know, this year, and we're undefeated in the state of Kentucky. And I think we're, golly, 26-2 at the moment, and got a district game tomorrow night. But to do it with this same group of guys, and like I said, adding Josh, I just consider myself a really lucky coach to have great assistant coaches, a school that really supports winning, and our athletic department, and then just a group of guys who, I mean, golly, they're really talented basketball players, but they're even better off the court. I mean, there is no individual ego. You're talking about a team that leads the state in scoring, and our leading score is 14 points a game.
Yeah.
And 2/3 of our made baskets have been assisted this year. And, in a day and age where it's transfer portal, it's how many points can I score? How many shots can I get? How early can I play? These guys have been so bought into St. X and the guy next to them that it's just been a true joy. And it's one of those teams that you just don't want it to end. And it's like, golly, we've had Will and Graham and Chance, they're seniors. They played as freshmen. Our junior group with Bryce and Jeremiah and Chief. And then Brandon Day's been a varsity guy since freshman year. My son Connor since sophomore year. It's like, this isn't really ever going to end because we've just been to war for so long and have had so many great memories. And now here we are. Everybody's 0-0, and we're gearing up, and we want to be playing our best basketball like everybody else. But we're super, super excited. And our student body, I mean, they've just been supporting all year. And the great crossing game at home, to the KOB, to LIT, to the male game, to, just been so many cool moments. And we're excited to continue to share this journey with them.
Well, I mean, talking about the student body, I mean, it feels like every St. X game is a home game. I mean, it's great, to have that support you guys have. We're going to talk even more about the roster. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. But, you kind of speak about it a little bit, how in today's era of basketball, it's to a lot of people, it's just score, playing through one guy, a lot of ISO basketball. It kind of looks like, the teams that don't play that way are the successful ones, but we still got so many people who still kind of play like that. Jeremiah Jackson could be a guy who could want to, maybe score 30 a game. He could want to take every shot. But like you said, he just plays so well. All these guys play so well together. How have you kind of got them to buy into that? I know it probably can't be easy sometimes convincing all these guys, look, we got to play together, run these type of sets, these type of styles, because sometimes you got these guys who want to play ISO basketball. Let me take over. How have you kind of got these guys to buy into that, system you run and the way you want to play? I mean, it's been successful, but has it ever been a little difficult? Like, how did you kind of get these guys to buy in?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, we've like I said, playing 10 guys until Josh got hurt. And, there's the old adage, like, you play for the name on the front of your jersey and the name on the back will take care of itself. And these guys have truly bought into that. We feel like we got a really great style that fits our guys to a T, with the pace that we play, the way we move the ball, and our defensive tenacity. And if we're playing and doing what we need to be doing, I mean, guys should be playing 4, maybe 5.5 minutes at a time before they need a break. And then we bring that next wave in, and we just really hone in on that cumulative effect where we're just going to get to the other team's bench. We're going to wear their starters down, make their primary ball handlers fatigue, not only physically, but mentally. And then the joy is in the process, and the process has resulted in wins. And it's certainly an easier sell when you win games. And, we've won, close to, I guess, 56 or so regular, games in the last couple of seasons. And these guys just have no individual ego. And it's always about making the man next to them better. In our first 8 games, we had 6 different guys lead us in scoring. And, we go Chance and Jeremiah at 14 a game, and Chief and Will at 9 a game, and Graham, Josh, Bryce are right at 8, and Brandon and Connor right there at 6. And, I mean, it can just be somebody different on any given night. And I think that's a team because you never know who it's going to be. And our opposition just can't hone in on 1 or 2 guys. And as talented as Josh is, and just what a phenomenal freshman year that he is having, beauty of being a team with great depth is it's that next man up mentality. And we can't replace a lot of things that Josh does, but together and collectively, everybody's playing a couple, 3 more minutes a game, and it's been able to work. And, we hope to get him back before this postseason run is over.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to talk about Josh a little bit. A lot of people know Josh for being the human highlight reel, dunking on people. But, Yeah, I feel like his game is so much more than that, man. I mean, he is a really good defender. I think the way he moves his feet, plays, he's so fun to watch on that side. I feel like every time I see Josh, his shooting is improving more and more, whether if it's his mechanics, whether if it's seeing it go in, seeing him talk more and more on the floor. You know, some people just know Josh as that human highlight reel, but he just does so much stuff well. I want you to talk to me about Josh from a coach's perspective, kind of what just makes him so special, you know, as a player.
No, and I think how he's special as a player is who he is as a person and the support system that he has with his mom and his family.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at a kid that averaged around 13 points a game at Shawnee as an eighth grader and welcomed the challenge to come to a veteran team, but he knew that long term, this was going to be great for his development and his growth. And just from fall workouts and pounding against these upperclassmen and sharpening his game because of that, there's no secret to his success this season has been from he works his tail off. He loves being in the gym, but he's going against guys that are older and stronger and maybe more experienced. And it's only made his game better. And he's just so bought in. And just what the school aspect, I mean, we really pride ourselves on having a great academic and athletic situation, and he's excelling in the classroom. Our upperclassmen open their arms from day one with him, and he's learned how to play St. X basketball just by being who he is. And he's a sponge. He soaks it in, and it's never about him and his agenda. It's how can he help make the team better. And, you know, the male game, I think he had 21 points and hit 6 threes, and other games, it's a highlight dunk. It's some defensive stops and rebounds, and he's just got so much in his bag, and his future is just extremely bright because, like I said, he loves the game, wants to work, wants to be coached hard, and he's just an outstanding young man.
For sure. We talked about Josh being the younger guy, but, you know, one of your seniors, Chance Dillingham, we talked to him not too long ago on here, but recently signed to Georgetown. And Georgetown, one of the probably the top premier NAIA in the country. You know, they were ranked number 1 for a long period of time. So he is going to a great academic and, you know, athletic program, which has got to be great for you to see, you know, as a senior. You know, Georgetown coaches always tune into the show. I love talking to them guys. How does it feel, you know, to see him going to a place like that, which is going to take care of him academically and athletically? You know, I mean, academically and then as an athlete, you know, what are they getting as a player? You know, how great of a pickup is that for them? You know, Chance just as well as anybody. You know, how do you like that signing? You know, how excited are you and happy for Chance too?
Oh, it's, you know, I just think the world of Chance, and just to see where he's come from freshman year. He started his first game against Central, and he was about 5'8", 115 pounds soaking wet. And he had like 16 points, and it was just incredible. And it's like, man, this kid has got a real chance. He's going to be super special if he just keeps his head down and sticks with it. And he's had so many doubters. And, you know, I had a lot of, you know, my experiences as a player similar to Chance, that undersized guy that you had to have just a will to win and just supreme confidence, because people are going to overlook you just because of your stature. And all Chance has done is put his head down and work. He's in the gym constantly. He stayed after on Saturday with Jeremiah just to get extra shots up after a film and a weight session. And he just wants to be so good. And for all the people that said he can't, or you won't, or you're not going to get this offer, it was just a matter of time, because you can't hide talent. And when you have talent and you combine that with the winning mentality, and I mean, look at the kid. He's lost 6 games in the last 2 years, and he set the career record for made 3-pointers. He was 1,000-point scorer as a junior. And I mean, this guy's got a chance to go down as one of the all-time great players at St. X. And you know, that's what I alluded to earlier. Like, I just am a kid in a candy shop. Like, I don't want this season to end, because you're not going to get to go to work with Chance Dillingham and Graham Craisman and Will Hankey and Owen and Noah Sosa, 2 other seniors, every day. And we just want to soak this in and be where our feet are, and know that the process of what we put in to get to where we are will hopefully be good enough. But we know we're going to get everybody's best shot, and we hope to give everybody else our best shot. And that's what March Madness is all about. So just super tickled for Chance, and he's just well deserving of that opportunity, but he wants nothing more than to do something very special as he leaves his St. X career.
Yeah. No, I feel like it's talked about every day, you know, between media, coaches, everybody around the state. The 7th region is crazy. You know, it's without a doubt probably the best region in the state of Kentucky, all around wise with the top teams. This year, you know, you guys and DuPont Manual both win over 23 games. You can't really judge Male, Trinity, Ballard off their records because we know they're so much better than they say. They've dealt with injuries. They've had guys out. But the 7th region is great. It's great basketball. It's filled with some of the top college prospects. You know, we kind of talk about it for days. You know, what do you think you would say is the hardest thing about coaching in the 7th region? Is it going up against these other elite level coaches? You know, is it the sets and the way these teams play? You know, what's the hardest part of coaching in this 7th region? Because we know, I've had multiple people say it, anytime in the postseason or regular season against the 7th region team, you can come out on the loss, you know, into the scoreboard. What makes it such a hard region, and what's kind of the hardest thing, you know, you have to do to win in this region?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, top to bottom, there's great coaches who take a lot of pride and put a lot of time into this. And, you know, I always tell our guys, like, you're going to fight in life for what's most important to you. And like this basketball program is so important to myself and our guys. And like, we're putting so much into it, but so are the other schools and so are the other coaches, so are the other players. And I think the talent, athleticism, and just these guys know each other. I mean, the way it is, like in the 7th region, most of these kids have been playing since 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade. They play on similar AAU teams. They play against each other in AAU. They know each other's tendencies. And then when you beat up on each other in the summer, in the June live period, then you go into AAU, and then your junior, senior year, you've played against these guys countless number of times, and you know you're going to get their best. And I think that's just the hardest thing of, like, in basketball, it's one game. It's one game. It's not a best of 3, 5, or 7. It's one game, and you got to be on for that one game to advance. And that's why we've just really prided ourselves on playing just a regional and a national type schedule this year, going out to San Diego, playing in the KOB, you know, having success in another LIT championship, just in the great crossings and the 7th region schools that we play. You know, that's what you want. You want to mold your team. You want to get hit in the teeth. You want to get knocked back. You want to have some adverse situations, because that's what it's going to be like in the tournament. And every game is going to be different. Some games it might be high scoring. Some games it might be low scoring. Some games it might need your defense to bail you out. Other games it might be, you know, an unsung hero that steps up. But postseason is just harder. Every rebound, every stop, everything's just a little bit harder. And we pride ourselves on making things hard in our program, from the preseason program to the weight sessions to the practices. Like, we don't want it to be easy, and our schedule has not been easy. So we hope that's going to bode well for us starting tomorrow night.
For sure. Coach, there's so much we can talk about. I don't want to hold you too much longer, but there's still some questions, you know, we have to hint on. You know, last season, you guys are kind of kind of in a similar situation now. You guys had such a great regular season. You guys are hot as it comes. People's, you know, kind of following you guys. People's coming to watch, and, you know, you go out in that region a little earlier than you wanted to. You know, you guys got to have you got to have a fast moving on memory in the basketball world. You got to get over those things quick. And, you know, a big thing that people have said, you know, kind of around the state that some people have mentioned is, you know, we trusted in St. X last year. What if the same thing happens in region again? You know, what if that happens again? You know, how have you guys talked about that a little bit, you know, keeping your head up, moving forward past that, kind of some things? You know, that's always a loss that probably holds with you a little bit until the new season comes. You know, I try to word the question the right way, but, you know, you kind of go out earlier than you wanted to last year when everything was amazing. You know, are you guys kind of coming with that dog mentality? Is there a chip on the shoulder of these guys, you know, to, you know, kind of move on from what happened last year? I know you guys kind of got to have a purpose, you know, moving on and making sure that doesn't happen.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the tough part of sports, and especially the game of basketball. And I mean, you look at Virginia to UMBC to go in to win a title the next year, right? And, you know, we had a tough finish, but like, these guys have learned from that. They're stayed hungry, motivated from that experience, and they got a real winning edge, and they've got a level of confidence that I just have not seen in a team. And that confidence has grown, I think, stronger through the tough times. And that's going all the way back to that experience last year. And, you know, these guys, they just believe in one another. They find a way. And our big thing is, like, just continue to be us, because who has been us for these last 28 games has been a really good formula for winning. And that's the only pressure, right? Everybody's going to have different forms of pressure, but we just want to continue to be us in these tough moments. And we found ways to get out of these tough moments. I mean, we played a tremendous North Oldham team who'd won 11 in a row on Friday night. we're down 13, and then in about 2.5 minutes later, we're up 1. And these guys just continue to fight their will to win, and that's been throughout the season. And sometimes the biggest learning moments in life is when you are at rock bottom and when you're laying on your back and you've got a decision to make. Are we going to get up? Or are we going to sit here and feel sorry for ourselves? And I always tell our guys, the way you play basketball is the way you play the game of life. And I mean, these guys are just winners in every sense of the word. And we're just super excited to get moving on with the postseason tomorrow night. And we know there's just so many good teams and the competition is going to be fierce. And that's what these guys thrive on. And when you want to do something that's so special and you want it to be a memory of a lifetime, you're going to give everything you have to that experience. And I don't have to wake up any mornings wondering if these guys are going to give that. And just a lucky coach with a special group, and certainly looking forward to the challenge ahead.
Yeah. Coach, one thing we got to talk on, we hinted on it a little bit, is, we kind of talk about this fan base and, the community and the people following you guys and watching you all and putting this support. And, I know it's got to be great to see as a coach. I know it's got to be, super excited to see how these guys are treated by the fan bases, the community around that. One guy I definitely want to give a little bit of shout out to, because I know he's watching and I know we all love him, is Jacoby Powell, shot by MB. He has rode with you guys all season, man. He has got to be, he might be MVP of the year when it comes to videography and being around a team. How does it feel to have these communities and these, media outlets and these cameramen coming and putting all the eyes on these kids and helping give them exposure and giving them some spotlights? It's more than just a podcast or, an interview by the Courier Journal. It's putting them on social media, making them a highlight film. It's just so much goes into it, and it means the world to the kids. What does it mean to you as a coach, seeing these people, just spread your guys all over the world globally on social media and giving them those opportunities?
I mean, that's great. I just think it's super, super cool. Like, golly, I think if I just had a layup or a 3-pointer on social media when I was playing, like, how cool it would be to see. Like, my guys still ask me about, like, game film. I'm like, guys, I got, like, my state tournament games on a VHS. You don't even know what a VHS is. I'm like, I got to get those over to a flash drive or something. Like, we got to check those out in the off season. But, like, these guys have totally earned that and deserve it. And that's what brings the community together. And I mean, these social media hits, it's a third grader that sees a highlight and says, Dad, I want to go to the game. And when we always say, if you get somebody new that comes to a game, give them another reason to come back. Yeah. And I mean, it's just been a domino effect. And these guys have an extreme amount of talent, and just, it's cool to see that the rest of the basketball community can see that for the people that aren't at the games. And there's just so many talented people out there. Like MB's just doing Yaman's work this year with our social media. Coach S, Coach McKim do a phenomenal job with our social media. And I mean, you look at the officials, the scoreboard row, our scorekeeper, Coach Brad, our timekeeper, John Jefferson, who's been doing it for 100 years at St. X, like all these guys that help make a game day experience possible. And then you add these videographers in that are growing the game and showing the amazing talents of these young men. It's just a win-win situation. It makes everybody look good.
Yeah. Coach, 26-2, not a single loss in the state of Kentucky. That's just crazy even saying. It feels like you would have had one of those nights where you at least, and there was some scares. There was definitely some games where, like you talked about North Oldham, you're down double digits, 7-8 points. I know you guys got in a scare with Trinity at Bellarmine. You go into those huddles, man, going into the fourth quarter, maybe even later into the fourth quarter, and you're not in the spot you want to be in at all. It's looking like you're going to get handed that first loss. What's some things that you feel like you said the most in, these timeouts and these conversations with the guys during those games? How have you been able, because it's just crazy, man. It's like consistently when St. X is down, when you guys are losing, it's almost like I want to bet on them even more because they come out of that timeout and then it's a whole different ball game. How is it? How is it addressing those guys when you guys are down? And what's some stuff you think you've said this year to kind of get those guys back in those games?
Every team is different, and some teams like really need to get ripped. Some teams you can be a little bit calmer. With this team, it's just like, give me that look in your eye and understand why we are where we are. Mm-hmm. And usually it's because we're not being us. And that's on offense, which, we have a recipe of how we like to play, from attacking the paint to advancing the ball to getting the ball up and down the court quickly, to defensively, just to really pushing the tempo. We have some different packages that we do, but a lot of the times it's like, okay, maybe our crash guys aren't crashing. Maybe our guys are getting beat on too many straight line drives. We're opening hips. We don't have our goalie help. and just things that we need to get back. And it's like that reset, that recalibration of like, okay, here's what the other team has done to score. Here's why we're not scoring. Now let's go be who we are. Just kind of give them that reminder, and don't really have to, we're very stern with it, but like these guys don't really need to be ripped very hard. Like they get it. They want to win. They just need a little reminder. They're teenage kids at the end of the day, and it's our job to teach and guide, and they have just responded in every tough situation. And when you get into these tight postseason games, you're going to have to win in different ways. We really hope that experience will bode well for us.
Yeah, Coach, we've talked about a little bit of everything. I told you I wouldn't hold you too long, but it feels like when you get going, it's hard to not keep kind of fireball you these questions. I want to appreciate you for coming on the show tonight, Coach Klein. I kind of said your middle name's Energy, and you gave a great interview, man, tonight. I know the St. X fans that are tuning in has definitely enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it, of course. We kind of talked about how the seasons went so far, talked about a lot of the seniors, the roster, the guys around you, and just how good this season's been, man. I'm wishing you all the best luck in this postseason. I can't wait to catch you again. Leave us off with something, Coach, especially for the fans tuning in.
We have over 22,000 living alums in all 50 states. And in the world of social media, we know we have a huge backing from our faculty, staff, the Zavarian brothers, our former players, everybody that's had a piece of this puzzle. They are just truly bought in with this team. And just know that we are going to continue to do what we've done and be who we are with great unselfish play, extreme intensity on defense. And these guys want nothing more than to bring home some more championships. We got a chance to win 3 more trophies like every other team in the state, and that's the goal. And there's not going to be a day that goes by that we're not going to fight, prepare, and give our absolute best to try to make this thing happen.
Coach Klein, it's always fun talking to you, man. Thanks for coming on here tonight.
Love what you do. Super appreciative of your support of the game and high school basketball, and we'll be staying in touch.
Of course. See you soon, Coach Klein. Definitely within the next week or two for this region. Coach, we'll talk to you soon, man. That was Coach Kevin Klein of St. X. We talk about just how good this team has been. It feels like every day. And, man, they've been great. You look at his accomplishments at St. X, and they're without a doubt coached by the right guys. 340 wins practically since he's been there. This season they were 26-2, 10-0 in region. Yet to lose to an in-state team. Last year, they had those struggles in the region that really scare you away at times. Maybe do we invest in St. X? Are we scared that it could be, a repeat of last year? They were so good. It felt like after that LIT, they were the best team, and then they go out early. But, Coach Klein, I kind of had to ask him about that, and I think he gave a great answer about it. I think, you look at them, the separations of differences, how much they've grown since last year. It feels like a new team at times, just the way they play. And I feel like St. X will be taking their talents to state this year. And, it's just been such a good season, man. And they do so much stuff well. It's been a really, just big joy to watch them play this year. Now we kind of go to the after dark portion of the show is what I call it, where we just talk, man. We just talk about some topics going around the state. Today's show won't be as long as normal. We'll probably just go for about an hour today. We're 42 minutes in. I want to thank everybody who's tuned in so far. Coach Cook and Coach Klein were great guests. Kind of knew they would be. I knew Coach Klein would always give a great interview, and that was my first time talking to Coach Cook on here. And he's just a great guy, man, great coach. But let's talk about some awards I'd like to hand out. Here's a big one. Today's going to be a little bit of an award show, kind of talk about some things. Hopefully people's tuning in. But I want to talk about my Mr. Basketball and who I think it will be and who I'm picking, and that is Malachi Moreno. And that's since that St. X loss and their trip to City of the Palms, it's kind of been all Great Crossing. They have not really they've not lost a game since the City of Palms event and the Myrtle Beach event where they lost to St. John's College. Since then, they've not lost a game. They've kind of dominated Kentucky talent recently. They've really dominated Kentucky talent all year besides St. X. And, St. X being their only in-state loss. And when you have those two juggernauts match up against each other, unfortunately, one of them has to come out without a loss. And that just ended up being Great Crossing. They didn't play that game as great as I know they wanted to. I know they showed some struggles. But, still to battle every in-state team and win besides St. X. So you take away their losses from out of state. They go 20, 22, 21, and 1 against in-state competition this year. And that's been led by the big man, Kentucky signee Malachi Moreno. People say he's underperformed this year. But I think a lot of people are just looking at the way he plays through the stats, which there is a lot more to Malachi Moreno's basketball than just his stats. My favorite thing about Malachi is just how he impacts the game on both sides of the floor. He's without a doubt the best defender in the state of Kentucky, and then he's also probably the most impactful offensive player when he is used and abused. This year in his senior season, 22.5 points a game, 15 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 4 blocks. He's by far one of the best rim protectors countrywide. That's what led to him to the rankings he has now. That's what has him as a McDonald's All-American. He's a super, super impactful basketball player, especially on the offensive side of the floor. Sometimes the way he's utilized on offense isn't how it should be. Sometimes he's kind of rushed into a situation where he's not even past half court by the time's a shot up. But when he is used right, when he's utilized right, when there's been games where they slow down the offense, let Malachi get involved, let him eat, let him play his basketball, he's by far the most impactful player in the state of Kentucky. The Mr. Basketball debate, though, is fun. It is. Malachi Moreno by far is my winner, but Xander Carter and Maddox Huff would probably be the two next names for me. Xander and Maddox have just had phenomenal seasons. Xander, a 23, 7, and 6 guy. Ashland Blazer has been very, very good this season. They've dealt with adversities, but they've able to go 19-7 on the season. Xander Carter is one of those guys who can guard the 1 through 5 and play the 1 through 5 in a Kentucky style offense, which I think he's done so much this year. He started this season against Great Crossing, scoring 30 points, 7 rebounds, and, just playing such good all around basketball. He was doing a little bit of everything, and it kind of just showed how he is as a player. It's all about winning for Xander Carter. He'll put winning before stats. He'll put winning before everything. And that's what I think has made him just such a great college prospect going to Liberty. They got an absolute beast in Xander Carter, but it's just the way he plays, man. It's all about winning basketball. And I think that's what kind of makes him kind of that second for me, just because the season he's having. To a lot of people, he's the most complete player in Kentucky, just the way he plays. Like I said, 23, 5, and 6, very, very efficient splits, 50-40 guy, 80% from the line. He's just a player that it's hard to not want on your basketball team. And I think if Malachi Moreno's not in the state, it's going to be Xander. But if it's not Xander or Malachi, it's the man from Harlan County, Maddox Huff. Maddox Huff was great last year, but then he kind of played that state tournament and he just got even better, man. You could say in the Dragon Ball Z terms, he went Super Saiyan. I mean, it was like a complete different player. He played so good last season, man. He really caught my eyes. He instantly became one of my favorite players in the state of Kentucky, and he's led Harlan County to a 22-8 record this season, 9-2 in region. He's been phenomenal. He really has been. You could debate him as Mr. Basketball. Every one of those 3 guys I named have the debate. I think Malachi Moreno gets the edge. I think he will win, but these are the 2 names that you have to mention as well. Harlan County's been really hot recently. They're coming on a 4-game win streak, but like I said, 22-8 this season. Maddox kind of started the year with almost a 50 bomb with 49 in a game, and really kind of, I think, set the tone for how good his year is going to be. He's averaging 30 points and 8.2 rebounds, 83% from the free throw line, 44% from the 3, and then from the field, he's shooting 48.5. To see a guy averaging 30 points per game on the efficiency he is just kind of so special. We've got guys who average 30, 35, but the efficiency is not as bright as I'd like it to be. But Maddox Huff's efficiency has been phenomenal. He's basically 48, 43, and 85, which is great. So close to 50, 40, 90. Man, if you can get 50, 40, 90, you are a special, special talent. At any level. So the way Maddox Huff's playing right now is phenomenal. He's been a great player this year. He gets his guys involved too. I don't have his assist numbers, but I know it's definitely 4 or 5. But he's just been playing such great basketball. He impacts winning almost as much as anybody in the state of Kentucky. Coach Jones has been blessed to have a guy like him around him, and I know Coach Jones would come on here and just talk so highly of him. And, those would definitely be my top 3. Other names that come in, Ty Price has had a really good season, averaging 28 points per game. He's had a lot of pressure on him. He's always received a lot of hate on the social media side, but, take that away. He's had a lot of pressure on him this season. Especially with Lawson Rice going out, a top 5-6 player in the state of Kentucky. Ty's got this heavy load on him, and he's still able to win them some very, very big games against some of the top teams around the state. And he pairs it with his 27, 5-5 stats while shooting, solid enough efficiencies. Yes, I'd like to see the free throws and the threes, but you kind of got to look at some, there's obviously, some things you got to look to that. There's some asterisks, look at the competition that he's playing. There's times where he has to shoot those shots. There's times where he has to be that guy. He's won them some big games this year. There's been some games I don't think Butler County should have lost. but they've also won some big time games. And, they're going into region right now decently hot. They're 10-3 against the region. They're 16-13 as a team. They've played some great teams around the state, and Ty has played great against those teams. At the KOB, he started with a rough game against at the KOB, he started with a rough game against Fairdale and then played Mel and Ashland and had great performances. So just showing that he can bounce back and be a great player. There's a lot of names that kind of come out after. Armello Boone doesn't have the craziest stats, only 18-7, but how good was he against great talent at the King of the Bluegrass? He completely elevated to a 28, 29 point per game scorer, dominated. He plays great when the competition's high. West Kentucky Sonny Armello, man, just a straight beast. Andy Johnson at Cooper. I continue to say, even though he's D1, even though he's so highly ranked, he's so underrated. 24 points per game, 6 rebounds, very good efficiencies for Andy. 80% from the free throw line is always a good thing to pair. And then he's got 37% from the field and 51% from the field, 37% from three. 18-5 record for Cooper this year, one of the favorites in the 9th region. Another guy that's got every single right in the world to be in the favoritism for it, definitely probably in the top 3 beside Matt Alexander, is EJ Walker. EJ Walker, 20 points a game, 11.5 rebounds, 5 assists. Very solid splits for him on the year. But you kind of know with the way that EJ Walker plays basketball and the way that he contributes to winning, it's almost 0 to none. He can do everything. He led them to a 22-6 record. They had a great region showing this year, only 2 losses, 12 wins. So EJ Walker, South Carolina signee, he's a great basketball player. He's impacted winning almost as much, if not as much, as the guys listed above him. So we knew the Mr. Basketball competition this year would be a lot of fun. Ultimately, I do think Malachi Moreno will walk away with it. I think that's kind of the consensus. But you got to show respect to these guys that'll be a part of those state teams that deserve to at least get maybe a vote or two. Definitely is going to get some love. My coach of the year is Coach Kevin Klein. We just talked to him earlier. 26-2, looking to have another 30-win season. They're coming off just an absolute blowout of Kentucky basketball. To not lose a game in the state, that's got to mean something, right? But no, going 26-2, he's kind of been coaching the best basketball out of anybody in the state since this summer when they won the Collins event, then they win KOB, and then they win the LIT. It's only been winning for St. X, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop. He's my coach of the year just because what he's done with these guys, how he plays basketball, how they win under like any circumstances. They even had a really good showing out in San Diego when they took that road trip. So, but I do have to give a big shout out. Probably my co-coach of the year. I probably would have 1 and 2 here, maybe 1A, 1B, is Murray Garvin. Not to say Frederick Douglass. One thing that I will say this, something that means a lot to me in coach of the year votings. I always like to have one of those guys that completely flip a program. Somebody who might have had a low win season last season that kind of just turned the whole team around this year. Maybe they went from 10 wins to 30 to 25 wins. But this year I've got 2 guys who kind of just got in these positions and just won basketball. Not saying these teams were bad last year. They weren't. St. X was a 30-win team last season, and Douglas won 21 games. But I think these guys have just kind of consistently been the best coaches in the state this year. I think watching them, they're the most kind of impactful coaches. They're guys that could coach on any team and be great. They don't necessarily have to have talent around them to be great. And they just get the job done, man. And they coach so well on both sides as a player's coach. They're just great coaches. And obviously these guys would say if they're nothing without their staffs, but these guys just do such good jobs. Frederick Douglass, moving on to Coach Garvin this summer. When I met Coach Garvin, I was an instant fan, man. I really thought he was just a great guy. I knew he was going to do things the right way. Never had a bad experience with him once. They were 21-13 last season, and then he comes into the program, and right now they're playing amazing basketball. They're a consensus top 3 team in the state of Kentucky. He's led them to a record of 22-3, 12-2 in the region. So, they've already surpassed last year's win total on 9 less losses. So, what will happen in their postseason, it's kind of to be determined. I know Coach Garvin went tonight to watch a game to kind of get ready for that 42nd district. They go 22-3 on the year, 12-2 in region. Man, they've had just a crazy good season. They only have 3 losses on the year. They're all in-state opponents. They lost to St. X and Great Crossing, the 2 team kind of considerably ranked above them. And then they just battle a very tough Henry Clay team who's getting hot at the right time and lost to them recently. If you see that loss and you want to move them down 10, go for it. I don't agree with you at all. I don't think it's right. I think this team is by far top 3, top 5 in the state. If this was March Madness, they'd be a 1 seed. They've been great. Coach Garvin has done a phenomenal job with them. They were on a 16, 17 game win streak, I think, at one time. They've just been great, man. They've dominated opponents. They've dominated ranked teams. They've beat Male. They've beat Fairdale. They've beat Ballard. They've absolutely dominated the rivalry between Bryan Station this year, which has also been a top 5-6 team in the state. So you just got to show all the respect and love to Coach Garvin and what he's done. My freshman of the year is Jordan Mitchell. This is a closer than I think it is. I do think Jordan has this award by far. Jordan, man, we'll talk about him in a second, but some guys that I think deserve to be in this talk as well. Austin Davey from Campbell County. A guy I've recently got very familiar with and kind of respected his game. Dude, he's a beast, man. Campbell County in the 10th region this year won 20 basketball games, and not for no reason. Austin is just 18.5 points a game on 7 rebounds as a freshman. Good efficiencies. He's a beast, man. I'm really interested in talking to him in the future, see how his AAU season is, playing on the 3SSB circuit. Man, Austin Davey is a beast, man, for Campbell County. He would definitely probably be my second, and then maybe second or third. You can debate there. Austin Sears. Austin, getting to know him really well this summer, watching him play basketball. Austin is a great player, man. He's a great, efficient scorer. Recently received his first Division I offer, 16 points per game, 47.5% from the field. And one of his biggest strengths is just his three-point shooting, man. He's such a threat all around the floor. He shoots 36.5%, which is good percentages for the volume that he shoots the basketball, and he shoots 90% from the free throw line. He takes advantages of those fouls. He creates for this team a lot. He's very good in their systems, and he's kind of been the biggest piece of this North Oldham team that is kind of the consensus best team in the 8th region. If it's not them, it's South Oldham. Even though North does have the up on them in the matchup where they matched up and got the win. But I really like Austin Sears, man. He's a great player. His future is so bright. He's a great scorer, great offensive guy. His defense continues to grow. He continues to grow as a leader. I really like this guy, man, and I'm really excited to see how his season continues to pan out, how he plays in this postseason, how he deals with the adversity of playing these older guys. And so far, he's done great at it. But my winner is Jordan Mitchell out of the 7th region. Jordan has had he's probably had the hardest task of any freshman in the state. He had to replace Cole Eadlin. Cole Eadlin goes out early against Lexington Catholic, and they're without him until just about 3 weeks ago. And about 2 weeks ago, February 5th. And man, he led them to, a very, very good record. We were looking at Male being about 14 win, 13 win team with only, single digit losses, playing one of the hardest schedules in the state of Kentucky. And they were led by Jordan Mitchell. Talked to countless college coaches, so many media outlets. Gosh, man, they love Jordan Mitchell, and for good reason. 15.5 points a game on 50% from the field. Man, he's just such a great player. He can stretch the floor. He can pass the ball. He just plays so mature for his age. I think that's just something great you got to see. He's all without a doubt a Division I talent. He's a great college prospect to look at. He's already 6'2", 6'3", at his age. But he impacts winning, man. He can do a little bit of it all. His efficiency splits and numbers will continue to rise the older he gets and the more experienced he plays basketball. But just how he played this season was super, super, super impressive to me. He kind of had to be the number one for them. He kind of had to lead this Male team in the 7th region, and he done a great job at it. We had Coach Hayworth on here recently, and he talked about just how good of a player he is. Jordan's a great kid. He's a great player, and been super exciting watching him play this year. Interested to see how him and Cole continue to play together and get things going in the 7th region. They're two ball-dominant guys, but I think they're going to make it work, man. A lot of people talk about it. Male being fully healthy now could debatably be the favorite, with them and St. X matching up. That's going to be a fun one. But I'm really just extremely excited to see how the career for Jordan Mitchell continues to grow and develop. He's a great basketball player. He's a great friend. He's a great leader. He's someone I would definitely want to play alongside. And I know Coach Hayworth and the coaches at Male are super excited to have him on their side. And like I said, I'm really interested to see how he plays in this postseason. I know they got Du Bois tomorrow, and it's just going to be a lot of fun. Jordan Mitchell, there's a lot of words you could say to describe him as a player, and we could be sitting here talking all day, but he's just been so good this season. And there's a reason, you've never really seen Male unranked or counted out, and it's because he was kind of leading them. Even though the win-loss record, they might have took some losses. Sometimes you look at the great teams they played and how he was playing against them. Now we're going to talk about the fun part, which a lot of people is going to like to see. My pick for region of the year, player in every region my player of the year in every region 1 through 16. It wasn't easy to make it all. The Kentucky talent, we talked about it this season. We talked about it every show. It's loaded. It's stacked. There's a lot of talent around Kentucky. And let's go ahead and go straight to the first region. Mine is Jonah Butler. Jonah signed with Stony Brook this summer, and we knew he was going to be great. He plays so physical. He's strong. He's a tough scorer. He does everything on the floor well. This season, he averaged 22.5 points, about 10 rebounds on 55-39. Basically 55-40 splits, which is phenomenal to think about. He shoots, he scores efficiently, he plays tough defense, he plays tough basketball. He's a winner, he's a good leader. He's got Callaway looking like the favorite, if not the tied favorite with Marshall in the first region. And I know he's looking to go to Rupp Arena this summer. This postseason. I know he's going to be a great college talent. I think he's going to be very, very good at Stony Brook. He's had a great AAU seasons with Coach Q, and he's just a great guy, man. He's a great player. It was kind of him. I didn't really kind of have anybody else. His teammate Eli Finley had a great season. Matthew Lange had a great season. Jace Burney had a great season, but I kind of knew it was going to be Jonah Butler just because how well he played against the tough competition and, just the special player he is. Let's move on to Region 2. Region 2, to me, is Bray Kirk. 23 points on 53-35, 5 rebounds. If you were to tell me this is how Bray Kirk would have been playing 6-7 months ago going into the season, I would have laughed at you. Not because there was any disrespect to Bray, but I knew he was going to be a really, really good player. But, man, he's been great. He has been elite. He has had a great season. Like I said, you look at his numbers, 23-7. He's played against some of the tougher talent in the state of Kentucky. He's played against Lex, Cath, Boyd, Butler, Ballard. They have played tough competition at Lyon County. We always know Coach Perry is not going to schedule an easy schedule. But this Lyon County team lost more than anybody else in the state. They lost three Division I guys, one of the highest, recruited guys out of Kentucky ever, and Travis Perry playing at Kentucky right now, great player. Those aren't guys you replace. They aren't. And what has Bray Kirk done? He stepped up and he's filled the role, and he's been the number one guy. Led them to a 22-7 record, 13-1 in region, 7-0 in district. He's been great, man. We can debate all day who's the favorite out of the second, Lyon County or Henderson, but right now we're talking about player of the year in the region, and that's been Bray Kirk, man. I don't really do just seniors. I know the KABC does that. I don't care about ages and, what year they're in, if they're a junior, if they're a sophomore. They could be an eighth grader. No, if they have been this highly impactful, if they have been a great player, if they have been elite, they automatically get put in this conversation. And then we kind of compare these guys. Has this team been better than this team? How have they impacted the game? Look at their efficiencies compared. Look at all these things and all these metrics that go into it. Bray Kirk's been the best player in that second region. And, man, has he stepped up, man. Man, is he performing a lot better than a lot of us expected, and I'm glad he is. Third region player of the year, back-to-back, Ty Price. Ty, 28 points per game. He's leading the state in threes made per game. Like I said, his efficiencies aren't as great as you'd like to see them, but you look at the circumstances, playing against some of the top talent in the state, having to be that number one guy, having to take these shots. Man, even when his shot's not falling the way he impacts the game, he's a great playmaker. He gets others involved. Great leader on the floor. Talks more than almost anybody in the state. Ty Price had a great season. 28 points, leads the state in made threes. When a lot of people counted Butler County out this summer, they said they would struggle in the region with Lawson going out. Man, they've proved them wrong, man. They're 10-3 in region basketball play. They sit at 16-13. They're a lot better than the record decides. They go into Edmonson County Wednesday in the 12th district. They're looking to go back to region. Once it's region, we know they can make a run with the experience they have. And when you're led by a superstar like Ty, you always got to count him in a little more. Ty had 15 games of 30-plus points this year, which is crazy to think about, man. I mean, he was scoring the lights out this year. He was putting the ball in the hoop. His numbers, they're better than what they show. Yes, the efficiencies have been rougher at times, but he's a 5 to 6 assist type guy a game. Man, he's been a great player, dude. He's been very, very good this season. And he's got them in a spot which a lot of people didn't think they'd be in. So all the props in the world to Ty Price in his season this year, coming out of the third region as my player of the year. Fourth region player of the year is a guy that I've been hyping up, Ant McAfee, all year. And a lot of people's probably tired of me talking about Ant McAfee. But a lot of people didn't know who he was. A lot of people didn't know how good he would be at this level. And he's averaging 21.5 points a game on 53-46, 6.5 rebounds. He's kept Warren Central as a top 10 team all year in the state of Kentucky. He's kept Warren Central in everybody's mouth in South Central Kentucky. Everybody is talking about this team. Everybody's talking about Ant McAfee. He's signing to play at Bellarmine. Great Division I pickup for the Davenport brothers. And that's just a big sign. That's just a big, bright light for Bellarmine. While the season has been down, while things haven't been great for that community, they're picking up a big recruit, Ant McAfee, who's going to be an instant impact guy. Ant's having a great season for Coach Unseld. Coach Unseld could probably talk about Ant McAfee all day, but congrats to Ant McAfee on getting this. He was voted the Region 4 Player of the Year in every other poll in the world. 21-6, I think he averaged 3.5 assists. Great efficiencies from the floor. Just recently against Glasgow, 37 points on 11 made threes. And you shot 23s in a game, man. That's crazy. And such a beast, man. You know, you hit 11 threes in a game on 20 attempts. That's got to show the type of shooter he is. He's one of the top shooters in the state of Kentucky. He's a great leader. He's a great high IQ guy. Very good on the defensive end, too, with his wings and his size and his ability to play basketball. Ant McAfee has kind of been a told-you-so to a lot of people who didn't believe in him and didn't know how good he'd be. So Ant McAfee, 4th Region Player of the Year. I'm skipping the 5th for a second. No, we're going to go straight into the 5th. I had to find the graphic. 5th Region Player of the Year. This is the first co-Region Player of the Year I have. Connor Loy and Davier White for 5th Region Player of the Year. Two of the best players in the state of Kentucky. Connor Loy, 21 points per game, 7.5 assists, leads the state in 5.5 rebounds, 60% from the field, 35% from three. I had a college coach tell me, man, there's not really anybody else in the state that impacts winning as much as Connor Loy. And he's a great perimeter defender. He's a great guy on the line. He's a great scorer. He's a great leader. He just does everything well. He impacts winning. They made a great run in state last year when they won a game and then ran into Lyon County. I mean, they're very well could be the favorites in the 5th region alongside Greene County. I'm super excited to see how he plays. Super excited to see how he leads this team in the 5th. Man, he's been good this year. But the co-player of the year, my co is Davier White. I mentioned college coaches because I talked to some of these guys that's just so bright. And, you know, I had someone tell me, you know, you take Davier White off Taylor County, they might win 5-6 games. Davier White is so impactful on the floor, whether if it's his scoring, whether if it's his defense, it's the way he rebounds the ball, if it's his high IQ, you know, 19.5 points per game, 9 rebounds, 55-55 splits. He scores more efficiently than almost anybody in the state of Kentucky, and he does it at a high volume. Davier coming from Evangel last year where he was more of a spot-up shooter. Now he's a creator. Now he's a leader. Now he's that number one guy. Another guy who could get some love and get some attention, Lakin Lyons on his team, is another guy you could talk about for this award. Hayden Blakeman, Eric James Jr., Jaden Marr, guys on Greene County who's had great seasons. Jalen Crane out of Caverna, Cam Hogan out of Central Hardin. Man, there's been so many top, great elite guys in the 5th region. We talk about all the time how good the 5th region is, and they got to have some good players, but these two are my co-players of the year in Connor Loy and Davier White. A lot of people, you know, we have the co's and the KABCs and things like that. It's got to be these two for me, man. I couldn't really pick. They both do some things so well, and they're so elite. Prince Complay was robbed out of 6th region player of the year, man, in my opinion, from the KABC. Noah Glover, great player from Fern Creek, but I think it had to be Prince Complay. 17.5 points a game, 5 rebounds, 58-38 from the fields. J-Town was 21-6 this season. Man, Prince has been great this year. He's been great against high competition. He dominated at the Derby City tip-off where he matched up with Ty Price and Briar Griffin, Justin Castle, those three tough defensive guys at Butler County, scored 30 points a game. Man, he's been great this year, man. He's really stepped up against great competition. J-Town, to a lot of people, is the favorite out of the 6th region, and it wouldn't be possible without this guy right here in Prince Complay. I love the way he plays basketball. He's smart. He's aggressive. He's physical. He shoots very good. I like Prince Complay a lot, man. He's going to be a beneficial piece to anybody he goes to play at the next level for. And like I said, you know, some of the stats haven't been put in recently on KHSAA, but Prince has just had a great season, man. He really has. Helped lead J-Town as either the 1 or 2 best team in that region. I like PRP, but I would have to say it's Butler or J-Town. But Prince had some big games against some really, really, really good teams, man. And that's what kind of edges it for him. He's been consistent all year. Like I said, 18-5, great splits. If you're not familiar with Prince, man, sheesh, it's probably time to do it. I mean, he started the year off with 20 against Manual, who's been one of the top teams in the state of Kentucky. He's just been great all year, man. He's a great scorer. He's a great leader. He plays defense. He just does everything right. He plays basketball the right way. He's a great point guard anybody would want on their team. He's my 6th region player of the year. A lot of other people who deserve to be in this conversation. Jackson McCutcheon, out of Butler, there's 3 or 4 guys, you know, Adrian Wilder, Mike James, you know, Fairdale, Fernandez Wright. You know, there's a lot of people who could bring in this award. You can make a debate for a lot of them, but my pick is going to be Prince Complay. I think he deserved it. I really do. I think he deserves this award. But like I said, man, just a great season from Prince this year. My second would probably be for Landez Wright, averaging 18 and 13 out of Fairdale. He's just had a really, really, really good year, man. He's efficient from the floor. He plays good basketball. He shoots 38% from the three-point line, 62 from the field, and he was averaging 18 and 13, top 2 to 3 in rebounds in the state. So the 6th region was a lot of fun this year. There was a lot of guys you could pick for your winner. My 7th region player of the year, man, I know we don't have the biggest, most explosive stats, but it's Jeremiah Jackson. Night in and night out, Jeremiah is guarding the best player on the floor, and he's kind of making them struggle. Jeremiah will always kind of be tasked with the hardest opponent to guard. He'll always step up in the big moments. He's hit so many game winners, had so many big games against the best talents. Shot high efficiency this year, 52, 39, 87, averaged 14 and 5, and he was the leader for St. X in their big-time season this year. He does everything well. He plays basketball the right way. Would it have probably been a Cole Edlin if he was healthy all season? Yeah, you could say that. If it wasn't Jeremiah, it would be Justice Decker. Justice has a great debate for this as well. Justice was very, very good this year, but I'll look at it like this. Justice had some rougher times against some harder, better opponents, and it felt like Jeremiah was consistently great all year, always leading them in scoring. And if you look at the way they play basketball, like I kind of told Coach Jeremiah could be selfish and want to average 30, 25 a game, but he plays his role right, and it always leads to winning. He could be averaging 25 somewhere else, but no, he just does such a good job here playing his role, doing the right things right. He steps up at big times. He's hit that big game winner against Ballard, played great in the KOB, winning the MVP. Man, Jeremiah Jackson has been phenomenal this year, and he deserves all the respect he gets. He's a running back out there playing basketball. He's strong, he's physical, he's aggressive, he's a Division I guy. He's going to be great for whoever gets him in the next level. Region 8 is another region you could have co-players of the year. It's got to be Armello Boone for me. It could be Aaron Gutman out of Water Verona. He was great. Julian Miles out of South Oldham was great. But Armello Boone, 18.5 points a game on 42 from the field, 6 rebounds, multiple assists. Had a very good year defensively. And he, just kind of watching Armello, how good he was this year against good opponents, especially at KOB, where he averaged 28 points and brung home the most outstanding player. Armello has been very good this season, man. He's been very, very good. He's had some times where he's had some low points and he's struggled and he's had some rougher games. But, then he'll bounce back with big-time games. He'll play great against big teams. The record Woodford has right now doesn't necessarily show as good as they are, I don't think. Being without Omari Joyner kind of really hurts them. But Armello, that kind of just shows that he has had to been tasked with a bigger load, and they've beat some great teams led by him. And, man, no, Armello has just been a great, great player this year. He's been having a great season. Western Kentucky struck gold. They got a great player in him. He's my 8th region player of the year. You can debate for Aaron Gutman, who has been very, very good. Julian Miles, Austin Sears. No, it's a great region. It's got some great guys in it. It's led by some big-time heavyweights, and Armello Boone is my favorite and my winner. 9th region, it's Andy Johnson or E.J. Walker. I lean to E.J. Walker, man, with the 22 wins and 6 losses. I've seen E.J. just play great basketball this year. I think Andy, man, like I said, he had a great year on 24 and 6. But I think E.J., the way he plays and what he's tasked to do, I think the way he plays basketball is more effective and impactful toward winning. 20 and 11 on 5 assists is, no slack at all. He led them to 22 wins, which is the most in the region. They've battled some of the top teams, best teams in the state, better than anybody. They've got some huge wins. I mean, they went on a 3-game winning streak of beating Ashland Mill and Newport. They've beat Walton Verona. They've played Covington Catholic once and lost to them, man. This team is just a really good team in Lloyd Memorial, kind of just thinking about it. Coach Walker does a great job. Anthony Blackar, E.J. Walker, Humphreys, these guys are the great team to invest in. I think they're probably the favorite in the 9th region if it's not Cooper, and those are kind of led by the 2 guys that I think I would pick. I feel like I couldn't do co-player of the year for all these, man. So I kind of had to pick. But I think E.J. Walker has been the best player in that region this year. Definitely the most impactful when it comes to winning and consistencies. So E.J. Walker is my pick for the 9th region. For the 10th region, I got a toss-up as well. Austin Davey, probably the 2nd or 3rd most impactful freshman when it comes to high school experience and how he's playing. Jordan Mitchell was great this year for a freshman. And then that next conversation would probably be Austin Davey. 18 points, 7.5 rebounds, 52% from the field. Led Campbell County to 20 wins on the season. As a freshman, he's been great. I had to shout out Caden Reed because while, yes, we've seen it past in the previous years, there'll be guys who will miss some parts of the seasons, and they will get a co-player of the year. For instance, Cade Unset only played 14 games for Warren Central a year ago, and he made co-player of the year. So even though these guys deal with injuries, I think when they come back and they just play elite basketball and kind of flip the switch for that program, that's what Caden Reed has done. In his 10 games when this graphic was made, he was averaging 23.5, 50%, 56% from the field, 35 from three. He impacts winning more than almost any other guard in the state of Kentucky, very similar to Connor Loy, who we talk about. He's a great basketball player, man. He does the right things. He has kind of completely changed what Montgomery County is. I only have good things to say about Montgomery County because I love that team and what they got. With Caden back on this team, they're kind of a whole new basketball team, and we've seen that in the regular season how they've played. They've only lost 2 games with him back, and that's to GRC and Trinity. So let's see how Caden Reed plays in the second half of the season, the postseason. But, man, it's been great to have him back. 11th Region's Malachi Moreno, 22 points a game, 14.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 2.8 blocks. And he's led Great Crossing to a 26-4 record on only 1 loss in Kentucky. We talked about Malachi a lot today, especially with him being my favorite for Mr. Basketball. So, Malachi, I won't say too much, but, man, he's got to be that 11th Region favorite. DeMarcus Surratt, Jonte Jenkins, Jake Feldhouse, Saxton Howard, some of the other names you can debate for this player of the year. But Malachi, man, just a great impactful year for him. Stepped up big in his senior year. Great Crossing was great, and it was all, a lot caused by Malachi Moreno and the impact he makes. For the 12th region, it's got to be Luau Geek Atney and Trevor Ellis. Man, I think those are the 2 best players that kind of had the best percentage of stats, best all-around play. Atney and what, Danville Christian Academy were able to do this year, 16-8. I'd love to see the block numbers for the guys there. Trevor Ellis played great basketball this year, 16-10. He made a big impact. Mercer County, Danville, the best 2 teams in that region, and they're led by those guys. Those are my picks for 12th region player of the year. 13th region of the year, 13th region player of the year, Maddox Huff. One of those guys that could be, Mr. Basketball. 29.9 points a game, 48% from the field, 43.5 from 3. Great free throw splits, 8.5 rebounds a game. 49-10 in a region matchup against Corbin kind of to start the year on great efficiencies. Maddox Huff has been, if not the second or third best player in the state. He's been great this year, man. He scores it more efficiently than anybody. He impacts winning like crazy. He's played great against great teams. Harlan County looks to kind of be in the same spot they're going to be in last year. They look like they're going to win that region and make a great run. Still got to get through it. That region's really good, man. Bell County, the Laurels, it's not going to be easy, but, man, I like how Maddox Huff is playing, and he has had a phenomenal year. Out of the 14th region, Evan Eversole. Hazard's been a top 6, 7, 5 team in the year. In the standings all year. He's averaging 19-10, 52% from the field. Led Hazard to 25-2, 17-0 in the region. Hazard was great this year, man. They were kind of the talk of the state for, that team out in Eastern Kentucky that's kind of hidden. That's just been great. 19-10 per game on great efficiency, great numbers. Led Hazard to 25-2. He's got to be the pick for the 14th. Evan just plays basketball right. He plays so physical. He's a monster defensively, down on the block, and offensively. So that's my pick. And then 15th region player of the year, it's Braxton Keithley or Parker Watts. Braxton Keithley's efficiency from 3 scares me at times, just because the numbers aren't great. But, man, he shoots a lot of basketballs, and a lot of them go in. 34 points per game, 51% from the field as a whole. 85% plus from the free throw line, grabbing 9 rebounds. He does almost everything for Prestonburg. He is Prestonburg. He is the Prestonburg Black Cats, man. He does everything for him. 34-9. He's had multiple 50-point per games this year. He's been phenomenal. The record isn't elite, but I do think they could be a team that gets hot at the right times. It's not really easy to shut out Braxton Keithley. So congrats, Braxton, on getting this. And Parker Watts, 27.5, 7.5. Martin County's one of the favorites, if not the favorite in that region, and it's all, kind of pointing toward that guy in Parker Watts. He's had a phenomenal second half of the season, ending the season on multiple 35-plus point per games. Man, Parker Watts has been really, really, really freaking good this year, man. And I don't expect him to slow down in this district and region play. I know him and the Martin County people around him, Peyton Davis, those guys, they're excited to make a run and possibly show up at the state tournament. So these 2 guys were the best players in the 15th region, in my opinion, this year. They were just great, man. They were just really, really, really good basketball players. Jaden Stewart, another name that comes to my mind, signed D3 today. He was great this year. But these 2 have been the top 2 for me, in my opinion, especially most impactful. And then Xander Carter, Region 16, last region in the state of Kentucky, out of Ashland Blazer, 24 points, 6.5 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 58-44. Like I said, top 3 front runner for Mr. Basketball. He's been great this year, man. He impacts winning. He's played some of his best basketball against some of the best teams. I know they had a disappointing KLB, but he was playing very, very good in all those games. He's a great player. You've got to be excited when Xander Carter's on the floor because he's so much fun to watch. He impacts winning almost as much as anybody in the state of Kentucky. And, man, it's been a lot of fun to watch his senior season. Ashland has been a very good team. They're 19-7. Interested to see how they finish out that region. They've dealt with some injuries. They've dealt with a lot of adversity. But I think they'll be perfect for that region, man. I think they'll be perfect getting hot at the right time. Co-player of the year in this region, he's not listed on here. I think he'll win it next year. I think it'll be his for the rest of his career. But Jacob Spurlock, I think Boyd County's been the second best team in that region. Boyd County has been a great team. You know, they've matched up with Ashland very well. They've split 1-1 on the year. So to see how they play again will be very good to see. I think they'll match up in that region championship. But Jacob Spurlock also had a great year, 25-plus points, 8-plus rebounds, great efficiencies. Those are my region players of the year. We had 2 great guests on today, and Coach Josh Cook and Coach Kevin Klein. We got to talk about some of the top teams in the state of Kentucky. I gave my region player of the years in every region. I talked about, my favorites for each award, talking about who I think my Mr. Basketball is, my coach of the year, and my freshman of the year. And then I talked about my region 1 through 16. Jonah Butler, Bray Kirk, Ty Price, Prince Complay, 4th region, Ant McAfee, 11th region, Malachi Moreno, 10th region, co-players of the year, Caden Reed, Austin Davey, 9th region, EJ Walker, 8th region, Armello Boone, 7th region, Jeremiah Jackson, 12th region, Trevor Ellis and Gio Luke Atney, 13th region, Maddox Huff, man, absolutely great season, just talking about that. Evan Eversole in the 14th region, man, Hazard has been great this year. A lot of it's all because of this guy. 15th region co-players of the year, Braxton Keithley, Parker Watts, Jaden Stewart's another honorable mention name. You go all 3 of them, kind of could deserve it. Xander Carter ending it off in the 16th region, great year for him. A lot of respect toward, his kind of rival at Boyd County and Jacob Spurlock. They've both been great this year. Man, it's a lot of fun. Let's pull up that state tournament bracket, which we always have to. It was announced about 3 weeks ago. Looking at it, man, it's going to be a lot of fun. Here was my kind of prediction bracket I made whenever the bracket dropped. It's got all the matchups of the seeds that are projected to play, who I think are probably the favorites making it out of. Is there any I would change since last time I did this? I think Region 1, you could debate Callaway or Marshall. I think Region 6 could be J-Town. It just all depends, man. Region 15 is still so crazy, but this could be a potential KHSAA state tournament bracket. Man, it would be a lot of fun if this is how it ended up. But we still got to see how this postseason plays out. We're all excited for it. We're all excited to see how it goes. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to today's show, man. It's been a lot of fun. Shout out to our most recent sponsors who sponsored the show. Let's talk about them one more time. B Spring Lumber, Charity Hall Bingo, Pelican Snowball, Barron Grass-Fed Beef Family Farms, Grable Funeral Home, CNA Plumbing, Exact Homes, and Brian Detman, Lowell Injury Player. We're going to be announcing our player of the week likely tomorrow or the next day, being our last player of the week when it comes to regular season. Got to see these games, got to look at these stats, got to kind of finish it out. But, man, thank you to everybody who tuned into today's show. We had a great group of people tuning in. Monday night, I know a lot of people are at games. A lot of people are busy right now. So thank you to everybody who tuned in. Hope you enjoyed the show. God bless. Catch us next week for our next show. Thank you all to the sponsors who's made this last 5 weeks special. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Joseph Decker with The Joe Show.